surprising because Herrin plays a meaningful role, as you all know, in so many books. And in my case, of course, Herrin certainly gets a good deal of attention in my book on the Shelton Gang, Brothers Notorious as Sheltons. Now, this is an event of the Historical Society, so I think it's only right that I give you a little bit of my personal history in regard to Herrin. And I'm going to recount my first two visits to Herrin, if you'll just be tolerant and bear with me for a minute. I recall, just like yesterday, my first time in here, and it was the spring of 1957. I was a half-miler on the Belleville High School track team, and we ran down here in Herrin on a rainy Saturday night in the then Herrin Relays. And now this was several months after. Remember, this is 1957. This was several months after the Herrin Tigers had won the state basketball championship by upsetting top-ranked Collinsville. And now you guys may not agree when I say it was an upset, but I'll tell you, I had, living in Belleville, which is not far from Collinsville, I had seen that Collinsville team play 3 or 4 times, and I'll tell you, man, I never thought anybody could beat Collinsville. I got to tell you. So Herrin really put itself on the map with an awful lot of people with that state championship. And of course, you may know that Collinsville team was coached by the legendary Virgil Fletcher, who's from Johnson City, Illinois. But nevertheless, you know, Herrin's capture of the state championship, and this is the way it goes in Illinois, because high school basketball is so big, Herrin's capture of the state championship immediately made household names out of Box, Goldoni, Tidwell, Williams, and Jefferson. Right away, everybody knew those guys were on the map everywhere as a result of the incredible state championship game. And so when I came down here that night for the Herrin Relays, which was only about 2 months after Herrin won state, I was kind of hoping secretly that I might get to see one of these people in person, you know, maybe out on the track or at the Herrin High School stadium or whatever. But as I recall, I did get to see one, and it was Ivan Jefferson. And I thought, to me, that was a big thrill, okay, just to see Jefferson. Now, my next time in Herrin didn't produce a thrill. I limped out of town with my wallet empty. It's an oh-oh. After graduating, as Gordon said, from the University of Missouri, I got a job right away with the Post-Dispatch in St. Louis. And that right away then, I bought what was my first car. It was an old Chevy convertible. And I took off with my late brother on a one-day drive through southern Illinois, kind of celebrating the fact I had a job and I had a car for the first time. This was a big deal. And so we meandered around southern Illinois, and we made it to Herrin late in the afternoon because I wanted to show my brother where I had run in the Herrin Relays. Now, unfortunately, in cruising toward the high school, I ran a stop sign. And that's right. And I was immediately pulled over by a police officer. Okay. The gentleman, the cop wasted no time in hauling me to the home of one of the old-time police magistrates, or JPs. It was a private home. I went in, and the gentleman was sitting behind a desk, I guess in his living room, and I didn't know what to expect. And he said, "Are you guilty, young man?" And I said, "Yeah, I am." And he then asked me how much money I had in my wallet. So I got my wallet out, and I counted, and I had about $15, which was more than we're talking about 49, 50 years ago. I had about $15 in my wallet. So the guy looks at me, and he says, "That's the exact amount of the fine for being assessed." And so I handed him the $15, and then he gave me a lecture in which he told me he was letting me off easy because driving carelessly on the streets of Herrin was just not tolerated. So with no more money in my pocket, and with my brother only having $1 or $2 in his pocket, we retreated from Herrin at about 10 miles per hour. And I guarantee I didn't miss one stop sign. And anyway, driving back then home to Belleville, there were no hamburger stops on that drive because we needed my brother's couple of bucks to, you know, to get gas if we needed it. So anyway, I was not back in Herrin for a good while after that. But admittedly, my mind only would drift in there. In the next 4 or 5 years, I was then young, for the Post-Dispatch, when I obtained and read the book Bloody Williamson. I understand the book, written by the then Illinois State historian Paul Angle, certainly would receive mixed reviews in Herrin and Williamson County. I'm certainly the first to understand that. I think that other fair-minded people would certainly agree with that. I have to say, though, and I hope this will not result in me being run out of Herrin on the rail today, I have to say that book was really one of my inspirations to go on at some point in my life and become an author. I couldn't put the book down. Now, I did, when the Post-Dispatch moved me to Springfield to be the Illinois political writer, of course I did get through Herrin on political trips with candidates down here through the years in southern Illinois.